Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere. We're continuing on with the discussions today, but more importantly, we're going to be looking at some key areas, such as to do with Lance Kelly from Earthworm Infotainment, some interesting comments or comment made by him like maybe 9 days ago or so regarding evidence in the Dylan Rounds case. The way it's been worded, it opens up the possibilities of ongoing things. So make sure to stick around for that. I'm going to present to you the comment by Lance Kelly and analyse from there and share my thoughts on the matter. As well, we're going to be taking a look at Bob Farrell, recent stuff going on with him, supposedly Bob Farrell being threatened, whatever that is, see if it is directly tied in the Dylan Rounds case or not. We'll be looking at that. As well, we can go through some key questions and key points. I've actually noted down bullet points on this occasion, okay? Because I've not done it for a while, right? So we're still going to look at comments today, so we actually see the evidence and what's, visible on screen, but I will be shown more of my face today when talking, okay? You remember in the past when we've done the odd time of discussions where I list down a lot of unanswered questions? It's kind of like that format. Some of you will remember, okay? But that will be later on in this video. We need to get to some of the more important stuff first of all and relevant to the case, okay? So make sure to stick around from start to finish to truly understand what's being talked about today. Now, if you haven't checked the previous video out, I actually uploaded 2 yesterday. If you haven't watched them, make sure to catch up on them. One's an important one to do with partially Dylan Rounds case, but as well the controversy with Zavgirl and Natasha Cooper, looking at her statement, which was controversial in its own right. Links down below, as well as a light-hearted video if you need to escape from drama or conflict. Make sure to check that one out too. All down below, all links in the pinned comment section. Feel free to check them out, okay? Also, before we go any further, shout out to Org, shout out to Cleo, and who else was there? Shout out to Maria Moyano or Moshano for their super chats last night. It was very good of them. Appreciate that. So yeah, as well as we do go throughout this video, be sure to share your thoughts, opinions, reactions in the live chat on the right hand side in the box, that area. And you can talk about a range of other stuff as well in between. Supposedly, the odd person last night had issues with the chat freezing up once again. Don't know what's going on. Seems to be happening to a range of different people. Of course, it's happened to me as well. Is it YouTube in general playing up? It could be, because as most of you are aware, YouTube are still screwing me over when it comes to limiting, restricting videos, even though I do follow the guidelines. Now, YouTube themselves do make mistakes at times, right? You may say you followed the guidelines, but for some reason, YouTube, automated system, any of that glitches, messes up, limits, restricts your video. And then if that happens 3 more times by accident, then I am the one punished. I'm the one deemed as being untrustworthy for not following guidelines despite following them. Yet because of the automated system and all kinds of stuff in the background playing up and making 4 mistakes within 90 days, that's a punishment in its own right. So why should I go through that? I'm going through it right now, and I also went through it like a month ago, okay? It's been back to back. It's been annoying, it's been rough, it's been stupid, and there's not been a solution. I seem to be the only human on this earth trapped in this eternal cycle, because I've not seen a single other person say that they're in the same situation. And I mean specifically the same situation. It's ridiculous. But as I said, there are links down below if you want to support the channel, and if not, that's fine. If you want to share your thoughts, more importantly, about these cases, and additional information in between, list that down below in the comments. Yes, it is early on into this video. I just want to allow people to join on in and also share their thoughts, especially those that might be in the background or those lurking in the darkness. You can share your thoughts and / or grievances as well, and then we can go from there. Okay, and speaking of going from there, we should probably check back to the comments of the last video quickly now to answer any questions, to see if there's any additional interesting information, and then it can allow people to join on in. Then once we've got that done, we can return back and talk about the main part of this video to do with Lance Kelly, okay? And then that will also tie on with later discussions into this video. So don't go anywhere, make sure to stick around. Let's move forwards right now. Right, so I'll just adjust it to the newest comments and we can work our way up. Skeptical, shout out to her for being consistent and also sharing many thoughts and opinions. Of course, it's very helpful and does help make sense of the different cases, whether it be Dylan Rounds, Idaho 4, or other ones in between. Skeptical here saying, just catching up on yesterday's video regarding the candles made with Summer Wells' photo on them. I remember this from No Thanks channel. I think they also made one with Dylan's photo and another missing person they called that, okay? Yes, they were selling them. I didn't think it was right then, and I still don't. So it's interesting is what Skeptical says. Everybody in the chat right now, everybody watching and those in the background, do any of you remember seeing anyone making products, clothing, candles in the name of Dylan Rounds, such as a print upon it, Dylan's face on it? And I'm not talking about on the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page or the stuff by Candice Cooley. I'm talking about general public creating something out of a missing person and then selling it on as a product, an item. Does anyone remember seeing that? Is there anyone in chat who remembers seeing candles being sold and it was around the theme of Dylan Rounds? Let me know. But it's interesting, Skeptical, because it actually reminded me of something, okay? Not that it's a direct link, but it's maybe a coincidence, let's just say. But in the past, Skeptical, there was a time where I guess there was a spirit reader or a tarot card reader or a spirit box channel paranormal who was looking at Dylan Rounds' case, covering it, trying to communicate with Dylan Rounds, and I think I left a comment on there. I think it was more to do with saying, sharing my opinion and the fact that I've been covering the case for some time or for a certain length at the time of leaving that comment, and then they reached out or so, and I think they said, can I send you an email or something? It was along that lines, and then they eventually responded saying, hey there, thanks for reaching out. I was just wondering, Warlight Raff, did you want to buy any scented candles? And this person I came across during the Dylan Rounds case and coverage, and they were covering it themselves, and they were some kind of spiritual paranormal channel. And they sent an email to me asking if I wanted any of their scented candles. Now, I don't know if they were to do with Dylan Rounds, if there was any logo, design or face upon them of Dylan or any other missing person. I just think it's a coincidence how I encountered that back then. And Skeptical here is saying that she remembers that there was roughly a time where they were put on candles. Yeah. That's weird. That's weird that. I don't know if it all links to the same person. But let me know your thoughts and reactions in the chat right now. Have you come across any scented candles? Okay. Move on up. Skeptical also says, is there any legal recourse for this young man's family? I don't know this case at all. So Skeptical here is referring to the Gannon Storch case, right? I said, I've not followed it myself, so I wouldn't know. But if anyone does know, feel free to fill in the blanks in the chat or comments. Skeptical, I don't understand Zavgirl's mindset. Is it a spin or is it genuine? The latter would make me sick to my stomach. I mean, the way I see it is, Zavgirl's response, her statement seemed more controlled compared to the likes of Natasha Cooper. Natasha Cooper's statement right off the bat was defensive and deflection onto other people, shifting the blame, shifting the questions, right? One was more problematic than the other. Maybe Zav Girls was maybe more well-rounded or well-worded, but then that led to further questioning of, is she being genuine, or is it being put in a certain, light to make it seem acceptable and normal when it's not really? So that's still ongoing, okay? You still got News Nation covering it till this day. There's like a newer video on YouTube recently about like 9-10 hours ago. Feel free to check that out. But it doesn't look good in general, does it? You could say it puts a bad negative light on the true crime community itself. Do I classify myself as a part of the true crime community? Personally, I don't think, okay? I came into the Dylan Rounds case because it was a missing person one, and I was interested in it, just like with Kenny Veach. Now, with Kenny Veach, that's not treated as true crime, just a missing person mystery. But when I came into Dylan Rounds, it had certain similarities, there was a certain flow to it, and I found it interesting, and I guess still do to this day. That's why I still cover it, right? But it is true crime, but I don't think too much about it. When I look at the Ida Howe 4 case, that just rings true crime immediately when I see that. When I cover it, or if I did involve myself in covering it, it feels like I'm entering the true crime community because it's darker, more people impacted, and it's just pure murder and not going missing. It doesn't have that mystery element. So I think that's the difference with me. You can have a true crime mystery and then a simple true crime case. And I think the community aspect, I don't really think about it as much when it's like a mystery incorporated there, because it reminds me of past videos. That's all I would say, okay? Move on up. We've got Tainted Ink, Inky. We've got Raven Gypsy, shout out to her. Badger Life, here we go. Oh yeah, of course. Didn't mention it before. Maybe I can do it in the community tab as well. But, whether Badger Life is watching right now, shout out to Badger Life as well last night for the second video because of their super chat. It was good of them, okay? So Badger Life here says, no deal to be made anymore. Brenner knows that his confession was to his attorney and is not admissible in court. Okay, fair enough. But as well, I feel that Brenner could be awkward down the line, right? If at that point, he was willing to open up, even if it wasn't exactly to the right people or for it to be documented, recorded, he at least opened up in some way. If that's time gated, it may never happen again, and that's not good. But as I said, we'll try and talk about that later. Pam, with her comment there, it was good of Pam to share that. I think Tom found that helpful. You're welcome, Pam. You too. We've got Cleo. Appreciate you and your channel. That's good to know. Shout out to Cleo once again. There's Pam again. Yeah, just in case, Tom, if you did miss any of the little ingredients in between, Pam left an additional comment here. Okay, feel free to pause if you need to. Is this last comment? Okay, last comment by Brad, saying, thanks, Raf. Yes, I just wanted to clarify for people who didn't know that's where Dylan's accommodation was at the time of Dylan's murder. I was thinking it was 5 miles each way from the grain shed to where Dylan's RV trailers where he slept, but it's actually a 1.6 mile walk each way. Right. But yeah, it's just good in general that Brad was able to provide coordinates in previous videos. So if anyone does step on to the videos, looks in the comments, they'll see the coordinates. They can copy and paste them on Google, and then boom, there you go. You got the location if need be, right? That's the one thing that's been lacking in this entire case. Sure, you might have had all these different people that have gone out there, or a range of different people that have gone out there and searched, but how many of them have provided valid coordinates which are easily accessible to be able to copy and paste and check them yourself? That never really happened, okay? But with Brad doing what he's doing, that's obviously going to help. and help people understand better. I've noticed Lance Kelly has done map introductions to his videos, so maybe he's been influenced by my extensive map analysis. I mean, it seems like Salty Pancakes was influenced as well in the past, so you can see that pattern forming, of course. Is that it for the comments? Yes. So what we're going to move on to now, and we're just going to get straight on into it. If you have suddenly joined, welcome. Feel free to rewind back. But what we're going to look at now are the interesting comment made by Lance Kelly in recent time with regards to the Dylan Rounds case and certain evidence out there. Let's take a look. Right, so we've transitioned on over to the comment section of Lance Kelly's video. I believe this is the one of the thumbnail of that UFO in the thumbnail, which is a bit out of the ordinary, but there you go. Basically, there's some comments and replies here by Lance Kelly which are kind of interesting when it regards to evidence within the case. So we'll just go through the comments in general, okay, and see if there's any other bits and bobs to look at. And anyone else in the live chat, anyone watching now or in the background, let me know your thoughts to this. If you notice anything out of the ordinary, highlight it. If you notice any contradictions or hypocrisy, highlight it. If you notice some information you've never heard of before, let me know, okay? Because it could lead to new discussions, new conversations, and the whole point of keeping the case alive is to talk about it, to cover new aspects and maybe to clear up past stuff. And that can only be done if videos are made and people are kind of talking at the same time, okay? So where do we begin first? Well, someone called Carol saying, didn't Brenner confess to killing Dylan? See what the replies are. I'm not sure if Brenner actually confessed, but I believe they are charging him on evidence found. Well, yeah. So already we've got a bit of misinformation, okay? Is the thing, the way people word it, sometimes, well, maybe this one isn't said with as much confidence, but they're kind of like suggesting that it was a fact where it wasn't, okay? Brenner, he's been pretty quiet, okay? He's not even, entered in a plea. There's not even been a plea entered in yet, okay? When it comes to these court cases, court hearings, it's still all to do with the attorneys, okay? So we haven't really got anywhere. But regarding to evidence in the background, there's been enough evidence to charge Brenner with the murder of Dylan Rounds and the desecration of him, okay? And we heard about that March the 3rd, 2023. And I think maybe one of the final nails in the coffin was that video recording on Dylan's phone of Brenner inside of his trailer with the blood on him and the shirt that was found as well. DNA of blood to do with Dylan, being Dylan's blood in Brenner's possession, the shirt. So that's basically it. Just see what Earthworm says. No, confession. He offered to make a deal, but it was turned down by the parents, according to Candice Cooley in an interview on East Idaho News. That's correct. So Lance Kelly has worded this correctly and clearly. That's good. Carol says, East Idaho News, 3 months ago, parents' detailed timeline at 3:50. Candace said Brenner pretty much told his defense attorney, I did this. Well, yeah, you could interpret it in that way, but as for an official plea, are you guilty or not guilty, heard by the court, none of that's actually happened, okay? Has Brenner reached out to the police, or when the police did interrogate him, maybe once or twice at the very beginning, did he say, yes, I did exactly this? No. But basically, what Candice Cooley, I guess, do you call it paraphrased? I don't know if that's the correct wording here, but basically, I think Candice Cooley just summarized the obvious, even though it wasn't an actual fact. But if Brenner is willing to open up, then he must know something, and if he's willing to reveal the location, then that pretty much suggests that he's involved and responsible, right? If you put evidence aside. So that's basically what Candice Cooley was getting at there. Earthworm saying she lies a lot. Oh, okay. So Lance Kelly believes that Candice Cooley, the mother of Dylan Rounds, lies a lot. Now, This is the difference between me and other people out there, right? I've highlighted the times where Candice Cooley has switched and changed with information. I've also highlighted the times where Candice Cooley has claimed this or claimed that inaccurately, which turned out to not be true. But was she lying at those points in time? I wouldn't say that she was lying, more so that she was probably, talking and being verbal before thinking, right? She's made the odd few mistakes along the way. She's claimed this and claimed that inaccurately, which isn't great, but at the same time, with what she's going through and has gone through, and the same with Justin, it doesn't always work out. The only reason why Justin Rounds hasn't been criticised much at all is because he simply doesn't talk much, right? And the cons of that are you're not really going to get much information out of him publicly, which could be disappointing to some people. So that's why you've got Candice Cooley that does that role. But when it comes to talking, the more one talks, the more chances of slipping up at times. And that's what has happened with Candice Cooley, right? So there's pros and cons here and there. And when it comes to Candice Cooley, at least in my opinion, I don't think she has lied a lot, but she just has got things wrong at times. Has it been damaging to the case? I wouldn't say damaging, maybe just a bit frustrating and drawn out at times and a bit confusing, which has led to people getting headaches. But I've managed somewhat okay. So I'd say it's been fine in the end. But we can do a poll right now. Okay, let's just kick it all off. The poll can be, do you believe that Candice Cooley lies a lot? One option can be yes. The other option is no, she hasn't lied. The other option, third one, could be she doesn't lie, but she just gets things wrong at time. Okay? Because there's a difference between getting things wrong and then purposely doing something wrong, saying something wrong, the opposite of what you do actually know. Okay? There is only, on the spot, there's only one time I could highlight when Candice Cooley was lying, but she didn't have much of a choice, okay? Everybody listen. So more so in the early days, you remember Heavy D flyby over when they went on down there, and you had Candice Cooley talking about the key fob more specifically at the time, saying it's not been returned, it's missing. Then a bit later, we saw on the NAM-US report of Dylan's missing person profile saying that the key fob has been returned back to the trailer. And then after that, Candice Cooley kept saying, no, it's still missing. And we couldn't understand what was going on there. Fast forward much later on, basically, the police accidentally revealed that information public when they shouldn't have done. And Candice Cooley was advised by the police at the time to go against it and make it out that it was a rumour, that it wasn't true. And that was just to try and protect the case. So Candice Cooley was actually put in a situation where she had to lie to preserve and save the case from being negatively harmed. Okay? So a bit of a messy situation, right? If any of you, though, feel or know that Candice Cooley has purposely lied before, recently, whatever, list examples down below and maybe quote it as well if you can. Just provide a different perspective. But I just think overall Candice Cooley has made mistakes at times, but you can't blame her completely because of what's going on. I mean, think about it. You've got true crimers, you've got YouTubers and people on other platforms covering the Dylan Rounds case and making up lies here and there. And you've got other people within the communities that will be making mistakes accidentally. It can happen. So, if people outside of this case, people who aren't impacted because of Dylan going missing, and they can make mistakes, then surely Candice Cooley can make mistakes as well when she's the mother caught up in it all and it is somewhat negatively impacted, just like Justin, right? Got to establish balance there, okay? Anyway, I wasn't looking at the screen then whilst I was talking, okay, so I'll continue reading the comments now. So Lance Kelly says, lies a lot, and I mean a lot. Take everything she says with a grain of salt. If I had confessed, things would be different. That never happened. Notice she says pretty much. What does that mean, Candice? What did he say? Why is she once again reporting heresy as a fact? I just think Kenneth Cooley was like summarising it in a rough way. And also, she has spread so much misinformation, many don't know what to believe. Well, like the bit about the 500% sale boost in Montello when that wasn't the case, and claiming that no one in Montello or Lucin has been charged of inappropriate behaviour to younger people out there. That was another issue that was not true. So mistakes made there, of course, but with the lies, no, just misinformation. Is it really harmful to the case? Not really, but it can cause a bit of confusion, right? But besides Kenneth Cooley, I'd say there's been other people that have done just as bad things, if not worse, okay, when causing disruption in the case. Let's not forget that as well. But I just think that when Kenneth Cooley said, well, pretty much that's what Brenner said, okay? Well, if it was roughly talked about and it was passed on that Brenner was willing to open up and reveal the location of where Dylan could be at, or so, willing to speak all of a sudden, you can interpret that as Brenner confessing in some way. Yes, it's not literal, it's not direct, he's not actually saying what you've heard, but you kind of like, what do you call it, summarising it and beyond, okay? Maybe that's not always a good thing, but the situation there with the evidence as well, especially if you were in a position where you already knew that Brenner was responsible, okay, after all these months, but with the courts, the legal stuff going underway, having to hear it from that side too, to piece it all together, right, along with all the evidence processed, right? I mean, I've always looked at possibilities of other people involved, but when it does come to Candice Cooley, the one bit of consistency, probably could agree with, is that she's always referred back to Brenner, right? Okay? Some people could say maybe a bit too focused. What about other people? Possibilities, yeah? But she's always been locked on to Brenner for most part of it. That's kind of consistent, not switching and changing there. Saying that we all, from like day one and within the first 7 days, we had an idea, maybe. And you look at it now, a year on, still talking about Brenner, and mainly Brenner only. So, yeah, consistency there, I'd say, in fairness. Let's just continue on with the comments. Take in mind, I just want to say quickly, these comments are of a public video. The comment section itself is public. It's all publicly viewable. Okay, so no one needs to be getting the head or pants in a twist. It's all under control, this. Okay. What else? Patty saying, has Candice come out and said anything? Not as of a recent time. Sandy saying, Patty, you mean except dissing Lance and telling him to stop searching for Dylan? Honestly, I don't know. I just had to comment that because I find that so strange. Who does that? Well, I guess it's just one of those things, right? Where at points, moments, family don't want outsiders to be searching just in case there's any disruption, right? But then you get other cases, other missing people where families, friends are very welcoming of people coming on in to help. Maybe like possibly with the Aidan Clune case. But this is the thing, maybe families differ from one another. And so do the mindsets and the mentalities and the process of how they deal with a case if they're ever in that situation. So they're not all going to say or react the same way. You got to acknowledge that at least. Is it for the better? Maybe not. Okay. But it'll be mixed. There'll be a bit of a divide where people do agree and other people don't. Like when it comes to Justin Rounds, is Justin Rounds more laid back? I mean, not really heard of an update for a long time, but in the early days, like Lance Kelly, Ty Corbin, highlighting that Justin Rounds was perfectly okay with them going out there searching. Justin Rounds thanked them. Well, what's the update nowadays? Does Justin Rounds still approve of those people and others going out there searching or not? Let me know your thoughts, okay? What else do we have? Okay. What's this one? So sorry, missed the premiere. Oh, there we go. John saying, what date did Brenna and Don supposedly left for Wendover? That's a very good question. I personally don't know. We'll just see what the response is. Don't have a date, but it was in the first few days he was missing, I believe, because the family and L.E. were around, allegedly. Okay. So if anyone's confused right now, don't worry. It's all under control. I can explain it. Okay? So I believe it's back in 2022 during one of the East Idaho News interviews with Nate Eaton, and Candice Cooley was talking about the spring cleaning, which occurred June the 2nd, 2022, okay? Just a few days after Dylan's, disappearance, Dylan's death, right? And, the June 2nd spring cleaning, Brenna going to the grain shed property, moving the grain truck, a key piece of evidence, out of the shed and leaving it out exposed, bagging up stuff. Sheriff comes on over, questions what he's doing. Brenna says, I'm just doing spring cleaning. That's accepted. No more questions about it. Brenna bags about maybe 4 to 8 bin bags, black or white bags, full of stuff, takes them to his, vehicle, puts them on the back, loads them up, and then leaves it like that. That's what Candice Cooley said. And Candice Cooley was in the area when it all happened. Now, I did ask as an additional question, maybe some weeks ago now, where was Candice Cooley positioned? And people said, some in the comments, that Candice Cooley was at the gate leading up to the grain shed property using binoculars. Now, why was Brenna allowed to be on the grain shed property and Candice Cooley had to watch from far away near to the gate? I don't know if it's the truth. That's just what some people said, right? Take that in mind. But as long as Candice Cooley was present and in view of it all happening, what she says, to an extent, must be somewhat true, right? Put aside all the other inaccuracies and messy stuff. She's always referred back to spring cleaning, June 2nd, and what Brenna was doing on that day. It's been very consistent, that story in its own right, okay? In the interview, though, after talking about it, Candice Cooley then went on to casually talk about how a couple of days later, didn't give an exact date, but a couple of days later, Don Hatley and Brenna both went in that vehicle, which I guess was Brenna driving, and they took a trip down to Wendover. She didn't know why, she didn't explain why, but she suggested that on the way down to Wendover, they may have disposed of the trash bags along the way, or they went into Wendover and disposed of them there at like a landfill disposal zone, where you can take trash. It seemed like it was shrugged off, very casual. And it's like, well, why did no one follow? Why did no one follow the vehicle? Okay? If Candice Cooley at the time felt strongly about it, why did she not follow the vehicle? Is it because she wasn't there at the time when Don and Brenna went down to the trip to Wendover? Maybe. You can't be there 24/7, possibly. Police, they just weren't interested. So another key opportunity wasted and lost. That's unfortunate. Who knows what were in those bags? Who knows if they'll ever be found? I feel that there's maybe more chance of finding Dylan Rounds than finding those bags, especially if the bags were disposed of properly. You get me? But yeah, good question in general there. Sandy, straight line rocks makes me... Okay, breadcrumbs, okay. Are those tyre marks recent? They looked around a year or so old to me, maybe older. So that's to do with his video itself. You want to check it out. As for the tyre mark trend, it's just not as practical anymore, right? You think about it, 1 year on, you would have had search and rescue, police, family, visitors, hikers, ranchers passing on through the area, going down some of the dirt roads. Over time, those track marks accumulate. So if you went there now and you saw track marks all over, you could be thinking, oh, are these Dylan rounds, or is this to do with Brenner? That might not be the case anymore, right? Most likely. And with the weathering, with time, the snow, winter time previous, now the weather now, the flooding in between, it's going to wipe away footprints, track marks from the past, and new ones will be formed. But they're completely different and associated with different people. The only time when the track marks truly mattered would have been maybe the first few weeks of when Dylan Rounds was reported missing, because it's fresh and it's right after whatever's happened has happened and whatever vehicles have been used to dispose of Dylan have been used, right? So it does get harder with time to try and understand what links to what. Anything else? Tracy, car mat, do you think he would have disposed of it if it had evidence on it? A car mat? You talk about in the footwell. Good point. Yes, makes me wonder if Dylan's truck is missing a floor mat. Right. Anyone know about that? Anyone in the chat? Did Dylan Round's truck have a floor mat? I mean, is that to try and understand? Well, I'm just trying to make sense of it. Why the doormat? Because it can hold DNA. DNA of footprints. DNA from the shoe imprinted onto the mat. Is that what you're talking about? Maybe. Like, are you suggesting that if Brenner was to drive that vehicle on the day or near to, that the footprint could be embedded into the mat and you measure up the shoe size? But like, this is the thing, what I'm saying. If, just like when it came to the Kenny Veach 2018 break-in, or like other areas where there's like a lot of things being handled, people visiting, prints, DNA can overlap with others, and then it gets a bit confusing. You don't know who is who or which links to what, or when it first appeared and when the other one appeared after. And you think about it, driving a vehicle, you're sitting in, you're getting in, your feet are on the ground, in kind of like the same spot as the previous person, and the previous person, that's if multiple different people drove the vehicle. One of the reasons why they said they couldn't really find any DNA or true DNA definitive DNA within the grain truck, because several people handled it, Don Hatley and Brenner and Dylan, at different points of time, right? It's hard to associate exactly when they or who last used it because of the differing multiple DNA found there. So when it comes to Dylan's truck, if that had several bits of DNA within it, then it'd be hard to tell who is who or when it exactly occurred, right? Just a thought. Anything else? Carl saying, after seeing the cadaver dog on Ghost Town Living Today, hard for you to get yours. Don't know those dogs. Okay. Me too, that's cool, whatever. Find out what kind of car mat you found. Right, so... is this to do with the video, finding a car mat and saying if it does link? Right. Chockhole, find out what kind of car mat you found. What kind of vehicle does it belong to, and does it match to Dylan's truck or other vehicles? Right, so basically Lance Kelly, within this video, found a car mat randomly scattered about or so. Okay, car mat. Why would it just be as it is? Why not take the steering wheel out of the car and just chuck it somewhere, or take out other stuff? I thought they were just referring to Dylan's truck with a missing car mat originally. I mean, if anyone knows if Dylan's truck was missing a car mat in the first place, then it could reinforce to the suspicions here. But to find a car mat this late on, and why a car mat of all items? What, because there might have been blood on it or DNA on it? But then, if Dylan was being disposed of in a vehicle, wouldn't the vehicle have been covered up in some way on the inside to prevent blood from dripping on the seat or on the ground or on the mat? You know what I'm saying? And because Brenner is reckless, like with his own shirt had blood on, he left it in the trailer, didn't even make an attempt to get rid of it. Do you honestly think that Brenner would get rid of a car mat, of all things? Just doesn't seem that likely, in my opinion. You would think that with not being able to charge as a capital murder charge, some people would be trying more than just saying it's okay. Seems like we're the only ones mad about it. Okay, the dog is soon. I've already watched it twice, okay. Do you know what causes the dark brown colouring on the earth mound? The earth looks like it may have been disturbed. Yeah, I think it's a cow pat. Oh, so sheet. Chris, could that be a mat from Dylan, Brenner, or Brenner's buddy that travelled with him that maybe they thought might have some kind of evidence upon it? So the focus here is to do the car mat, okay? I'm like going on, okay. What does Mama Down Under have to say? Wow, some very thought-provoking finds. The line of rocks is strange, especially being so straight. The car mat in the middle of nowhere. What was that yellow stuff? Where did the tyre tracks disappear to? Why do the clouds look so weird? Good questions. Tom Evans popping on in. Replying back to Mama Dan Anda. As always, my best. It'll be interesting to see if we do get any resistance in this video or afterwards, because as you know, it has happened with certain themes, but it is what it is. This one. Hi Lance, it's interesting that you're taking that road south. I do remember a medium saying that the perp went down that road. Perp stands for perpetrator, if you're wondering. The perpetrator went down that road towards the next town. Also, another medium said he may be buried at the base of a mountain range near a disposed of drink bottle, like what you're following along right now. P.S. It's a great idea to show on a map where you're searching. Okay, so we're returning back to the discussion about mediums, people getting involved there, showing their thoughts, ideas and knowledge as possibilities. You know, you get all these mediums present, but when it comes to Miss T, she ain't a medium, she's an extra large. Oh wait, we're talking about the wrong thing. Apologies. Pat Blankers, really weird with those rocks in line, and there is much space. Fine. Sending prayers, good vibes. All the hard work and hours you put in, I pray for something to be found. Now, I think, if I'm correct in saying, this might be one of the first key comments which I was talking about earlier on in this video. Let's check. Yeah, this is one of them. So, Lance says, on the bright side, we found Brenner's property and turned that over to LE, and they had evidence tags and spots marked, so who knows what they found out there. And on the bag of bones, they aren't going to let me know. This is very, very interesting. Every single person in the chat right now, listen and look. That'd be appreciated, okay? This is very important. There are high possible levels of contradiction here, but also hypocrisy as well, and a slight dash or hint of intrigue. So everybody listen up. So Lance Kelly, referring back to Brenner's property, you could call it former property, his former place of living. This is all to do with the burn out trailer of Brenner's, which happened a couple of years back now. You remember that one? In Montello, Nevada, Brenner's burnt down trailer. Lance Kelly, first one to go up to it, investigate, document, and also report it to the police, led to that search. The police coming on down with their equipment, cadaver dogs, ground penetrating equipment, ATVs, quad bikes, the lot. And they searched about, okay? Yes, property, turned that over to the police. They had evidence tags and spots marked. That is true because when Lance Kelly went there at a later point, there were like little markings on the ground and flags, white little flags. That makes sense, okay? I get that. But then Lance Kelly then says, so who knows what they found out there? So Lance Kelly is suggesting that there's a possibility that the police found something of interest to do with the Dylan Rounds case. There's a possibility of that. But from everything we've heard, which maybe ironically from Candice Cooley, and as well the official police statement, official documents, which were posted in the past on Twitter, I believe, or Facebook, and we probably did cover them in a past video, they reported that they found nothing. Nothing at all was found. It was mentioned like that by Candice Cooley. It was mentioned by that in the official documents posted public by the police. It was mentioned that in all the news articles and the news channels on YouTube, that under that investigation at Brenner's property, burnt down trailer, nothing was found. So why a year on is Lance Kelly suggesting that they could have found something when they officially stated that they didn't find anything? Could the argument be, well, maybe they know more than us? Well, that could be true in general, but normally people tend to go quiet or not say much. It doesn't tend to be that they come out and say, right, nothing has been found, nothing at all, right, let's suddenly go quiet, and we actually have. Because then that's lying to the general public, lying, deceiving them. It's just better to just not say anything at all, right? If they have found something, if they are working on something in the background. In this case, then, with this investigation back then in 2022, they said they didn't find anything. And yet Lance Kelly is still under the impression that they may have found something. So, in a way, a little bit of misinformation here, okay? The next part by Lance Kelly is even more misinformation and hypocrisy at the same time. Everybody listen in, okay? Lance Kelly says, and the bag of bones, they aren't going to let me know about them. That's pretty vague, okay? Reality was, as told by Lance Kelly himself in the past, is that when Lance Kelly and Ty Corbin, at the time, they did document it as well, when they were together before they broke up as friends, they were in Bald Eagle Mountain Range on the Montello, Nevada side, driving through the mountain range on the dirt road, and they passed by tree vegetation lower down on the slope in which a black bag was found underneath, slightly concealed. They pulled over, they went on down to check and investigate. Lance fiddled about with the bag and exposed a few bones sticking out, and there was a collection of them, a fair few, to say the least. Contacted the police or contacted the sheriff. They passed on the potential evidence, passed it on over to the police, the authorities, okay? Didn't really contaminate the bones themselves, didn't cause too much trouble there, passed it on to the police. And then Lance Kelly, at a later point, provided an update and said, basically, police sheriff got back in touch with us and confirmed that all of the bones, except one, were animal. All of the bones except for one of them. That one bone was not identified, whether it was labelled as human or animal. it wasn't talked about, confirmed or revealed, which is a little bit odd, okay? The way Lance Kelly has worded it here is as if the bag of bones we never heard back from the police or sheriff. That isn't true. Lance Kelly did hear back from the police because he told that story himself back then. So Lance Kelly has switched and changed with the story. Back then, oh, didn't find anything. Oh, bag and bones, they did reply back. But now it's bag and bones, we never heard anything about it. And the Brenner's property, they could have found something. That's switching and changing. Lance Kelly has called out Candice Cooley for spreading misinformation and making up lies or just getting stuff wrong. But in a sense, in a way, Lance Kelly has done the same exact thing here as what he's called Candice Cooley out for doing. Hence why everybody or most people are in the position to make mistakes at times. It will happen, okay? Some might make more mistakes than others, depending on the situation or environment they're in. So by doing a witch hunt on just one person, it's not quite practical because then it makes yourself look like a bit of a plum at times. And we're kind of seeing that here right now, okay? Just wanted to let everybody know, levels of contradictions, levels of hypocrisy, right? Unless the story has changed since. I'm just reiterating what I've heard from the past, from Lance Kelly's own mouth, his own words, okay? Everybody in the chat, share your thoughts and opinions, of course. Anything else? Daniel Kelly. I don't know who Daniel or Danielle Kelly is, but they have appeared on my channel here and there and left comments. Shout out to Daniel Kelly. What did they say? Seems that Tacoma, they mean Tacoma Road, is coming up with more frequency. Likely Brenner disposed of the body before throwing the phone into the pond. Doesn't seem like he would physically carry the body too far from the road. Think you're definitely in the vicinity. Tacoma, Pilot Mountain Roads, places of interest. I see. Right. So it feels that Brenner disposed of the body before disposing of the phone. Yeah, I can agree with that, but if a form of desecration took place, burying and then reburying later, likely the disposal of the phone was in between those moments. That's what I would say. A temporary burial followed by the phone being disposed of and then possibly followed by removing Dylan and placing him elsewhere. That's what I would say. Is that it for the comments? Yeah. So just wanted to highlight these interesting comments, right? What other people are thinking from other communities and their directions and mindsets. Does it align with your thoughts? Do you agree, disagree? And as well, Lance Kelly's own, ideas of the past and pieces of evidence, how things have come about. But it's still true, end of the day, even though it might have been poorly worded by Lance, from what he heard at the time, the fact that one of the bones was never identified or explained does make you question a few things here and there, right? So be sure to share your thoughts and opinions in general down below in the comments section. As well, if you've watched this far, I appreciate it. If you have just suddenly joined, rewind back so you don't miss anything. And if you want, feel free to like and share the video to spread awareness and to spread further awareness of the Dylan Rounds case to help keep it alive. It was interesting, I did see a comment elsewhere, not on my channel, but on somebody else's, saying, oh, it's such a shame that no one else is, spreading the awareness of the case, that you haven't got those levels out there. And it's like, are people blind? Are people 100% blind? What is going on? I have uploaded 330 plus videos on the case almost every day, almost non-stop. And people out there saying it's a shame no one else is covering it. It's a shame no one else is uploading videos about the case. My videos are public. How can people not see them? Are people blind? Do people need to take a watcher of crazy eye test? So, what's going on? But then again, let's be fair. It's no different to the Kenny Veach case. I can upload this, I can upload that. And, everybody listening right now, feel free to listen. Another important point by me. I might reiterate it in the future, but I'll say it now because it's very important. Make sure you're listening. The reality is, with me, my reality, my channel, me, myself as a person, I can do this, I can do that, but it will fall on deaf ears for most part of it, for majority of general public out there. Not here, but out there, when you're trying to spread awareness and let other people know. I can find this, I can find that. I can cover breaking news and it will fall on deaf ears. I can find stuff which no one else has ever found or covered before, and I've proven that several times now, but it will still fall on deaf ears. I can have the right people at the right time, the right contacts and the right material, and present it properly, and it will still fall on deaf ears. I can talk about the same thing 50 times in a row and display the definition of insanity, still falling on deaf ears. What is going on? This is the reality. Is it YouTube? Are YouTube the problem? Not presenting my videos to the front page and to this and to that. Maybe popularity contest going on, all that messiness. But it's like a fact. It is a fact. Everybody listen right now. I know I keep saying it, probably slap me in the face at the same time. But it's a fact that if you type in a certain case, you go to the filter section, select videos only, and select within the last 24 hours or within the last 7 days, and 9 times out of 10, all of my videos will show up on the page, okay? 9 times out of 10. Whether that's Kenny Veach or Dylan Rounds, if you go to those filter sections, choose those options, most of it will be my videos popping up because I'm regularly uploading videos about that stuff, okay? If you go on YouTube and just type in the case without changing the relevancy or the date, then the only videos that will pop up first will be the most viewed ones, the most popular videos, and that is it, regardless of the date. They could be really old, but because they've got 1 million views, they're going to show up before all the new stuff. And because humans, just like how a fair few people out there don't know how to walk and are a bit lazy at times, they can also be lazy even when it comes to technology, right? There can be a fair few humans out there that are so lazy that they don't think, maybe for the newest research, I need to adjust the filters. Oh no, that's too much for me. It's too tiring. So I'll not do that. That's their problem, okay? So there is high levels of incompetence out there. I can't control that incompetence, nor can I fix it. Limited to what I can do. So yeah, sometimes or most of the time it does fall on deaf ears, which is very frustrating, okay? Sure, there'll be some videos out there in the past where, okay, it finally received some attention and focus, that's good, but why can't it continue, okay? If people are going to look at this and that, keep up with the updates, or I don't know, maybe they don't find it interesting and that's why they only look once. Okay, there we go. We shut that one down quick. But you get the idea, right? There's only so much one as a person can do themselves. Yeah, other channels out there might buy this and buy that, advertise this and advertise that, but is it practical? Is it efficient? Is it natural? No. Okay? You could buy this, you could buy that, but it might only be temporary, and it just isn't as natural, and it can lead to its own problems down the line, which maybe other people have experienced at some point or another on YouTube, right? So yeah, but despite that, in recent time, maybe with regulars, some returning back, new ideas sparked, new interest and discussions because of what we've been covering, or more so what I've been uploading and presenting to you, right? And because it's led to that, it's led to some people reaching out with their information or research as well over the course of time. Now, I've got a few questions or key points to get through, so feel free to listen. Basically, how do I deal with it? How do I deal with it the times where there's a lot of information, talk, rumours going about? Does it get too much? Do I shy away from it? Do I back off? Do I plow into it and cover it all at once? Well, I can explain it right here, right now. So there's almost like an airport scanner, okay? The customs area where items are coming on in from a different country. They scan it to make sure it's okay. If not, maybe it bleeps, gives off a reading, like the airport scanners where you walk through the stuff, okay? Now, okay, sure, if Sinola in Española, Campos Tacos walks through my security systems, it'll be bleeping all the way with the piercings all over the place, okay? And maybe Betty Hayward with her metal headband. Yeah, there's metal hidden in that headband. Yeah. Anyway, on a serious note then, with the Dylan Rounds case, and it can apply to other cases as well, if it comes to a point where there's a lot of people, passing on information, material, or suggestions, I go through it one by one. It might take a bit more time. It might be a little bit more dragged out, but I don't want to look at it all at once because it can get a bit overwhelming. You might get confused. You might make mistakes and get mixed up with one another. You really have to lock down and focus one at a time for the best focus and attention, so you understand and you don't miss out on anything at all, right? So it's like a scanning system, somewhat under control, sort it out over a period of time, and might be the odd point lower down which I can refer back to, and it might involve you miss T. So make sure to be present if you can be. That'll be good. So aside from that, what about another factor or another question, a different one, but to do with the case? What about the police? Do they know more? Do the family know more? There's been times where they would have known more or known things earlier, and then we found out about it much later on, like with the phone, the footage of Brenner on it. That was found by the police November 19th. We found out about it March the 3rd, 2023. Quite a big space of time between them, but just standard procedure, right? And maybe in other cases it's been even more quiet, more going on in the background. You could argue it's been a little bit more verbal here in the early days because Candice Cooley had enough of the police and was just verbally and publicly releasing this and releasing that, which may have not been the best thing, but it was a bit of a mess, right? The case as a whole in the early days. So certain actions, certain responses led to it, right? But what about right now? And we can do a poll, I think. It's probably good timing. The poll can be, do you believe that the police and / or family know of stuff going on right now which can't be shared with the general public? Yes, no? Feel free to vote. And I don't mean about ongoing searches, just aimlessly looking about. I'm talking about evidence found, new leads, a new location of interest or suspicion, that type of stuff. Do they know about that which we don't know of? Or are they still in the same position of, we're not sure what's going to happen next, we just got to keep on searching and hope for the best? What's your thoughts? Feel free to vote right now. Personally, what I would say is, if the police, maybe the family as well, but more so the police, if they know of things right now and know of evidence found, it can't be, well, first of all, it depends how long they've known about it for or when they first heard about it. If we're talking about some months ago, but they know of things from months ago which have still not been shared public, you can say it's important, right? Because it don't want to harm the case, it's ongoing. But then at the same time, I'd say, based off a certain time frame, when they know of things or found stuff, can it be that important which leads to finding Dylan Rounds? I don't think so, because technically Dylan Rounds is still missing. Families still don't have the what do you call it, closure. They've still not come across Dylan. The police haven't come across Dylan. From what we know of, let's just say the police did find something. It was important, couldn't be shared public, and then eventually led to that being responsible to finding Dylan's remains. What's the time frame, the time period of when it does finally get talked about public? Maybe not in its full entirety, but just the area around that Dylan has been found. Surely there'd be a confirmation there, even if it was very limited in description. What's the time frame between finding something, keeping quiet, then finding remains, and then talking about it public in brief? What's the time period? Can we measure that with what's going on now or what's going on in the past? Because ever since the 1 year anniversary, it's been very silent. Nothing at all has really happened besides the odd court hearing, which wasn't that successful. Does anyone else know? Anyone else think? I just feel in general that maybe the police do know of stuff, but it's not exactly led to Dylan Rounds being found. So yes, it's important, but not extremely important. Just my opinion, okay? Do you think there's still room for evidence to be found and then implemented within it? You know, they said all that evidence back then, all that was present was processed at that time, which then led to Brenner receiving no charges of murder and desecration upon Dylan. What happens if evidence was found now? Would it go into that same pool as processed evidence before, or does it go into a new pool of evidence? How does that work? If anyone knows, feel free to answer. And in general, what type of evidence would we be looking for besides Dylan's remains? It's really just Dylan's wallet. That's really the only other item. Maybe Dylan's cap, Dylan's baseball or farming cap, right? Ty Corbin said that, Kaylee or Kayla, how you say the name, found it. Ty Corbin documented it, talked about it, spread awareness, and so on. Police never got back to him. Once again, another contradiction by Ty Corbin then, saying that the police never get back to us. If the police never get back to you, then why were you able to explain in the past about the railroad finding in which the sheriff responded and said it wasn't of interest to the case? And then the other time with the bag of bones, which Lance Kelly said that they've never explained what that was, but they did actually in the past. Few slip-ups, okay? Are they major? Not really, but maybe some people will look deeper and think slip-ups equals suspicion. I don't know. You know how some people can think, so it's just worth clearing up as we go along to avoid the messy sides. Has Ty Corbin in general been around, present in the Dylan Rounds case, or has he been doing his own thing elsewhere? Leave your thoughts. He's not been in the chat of these videos or comments for a very long time. Sure, he's been on other channels, true, fair enough, but there's been moments, there's been key videos which have questioned stuff and, involved Ty Corbin, but unfortunately, I don't think he ever saw those videos, so kind of fell on deaf ears, which is unfortunate, right? But here's where it is. As for the shack lady, what's going on there? I don't know personally. If you do, feel free to clear it up. Now, anything else in between? What about the true crime community as a whole? Has it been negatively impacted by the likes of Zav Girl, Natasha Cooper, and maybe other people out there to do with those autopsy photos? It's got nothing to do with Dylan Rounds, first of all. But as you know, Dylan Rounds' case is within the true crime community and has been covered by those type of YouTubers, such as Zav Girl. No thanks, not involved in this controversy, but in other stuff out there, led to his channel being shut down. Zav Girl could have a channel shut down. Who knows what happens next? These are all key people that were once covering the Dylan Rounds case. And as each one crumbles, who is left to cover the case? I know some people will say, well, all these people go, where does Candice Cooley go? But that aside, the less people covering the case, the less noise made. And as well, just less people, what happens next? Do new people come on in? New channels? I don't know. But I guess it's not the end of the world when you think about it, because for many, 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 many months, all these YouTubers have moved on. So they weren't really covering the Dylan Rounds case long term. So there's that, okay? As for the archive stuff, that's gone to waste. So if you want to look back at it, well, you can't really. So that's not really good, because if the case of, let's say, Dylan Rounds ever takes a bad turn, gets confusing, and you got to look back refer to previous interviews. You can't, and then you might be a bit of a dead end. So yeah, it doesn't look good. Does it tarnish Dylan's case? Not really, because it's more so tarnishing, like with the autopsy stuff, the Gannon Storch case, tarnishing that and causing trouble over that way. Just as a little update, when I said yesterday that Zavgirl created a new post asking about contact details for Landon, family member or so, to reach out to them, I guess with the recent autopsy controversy, maybe apologise, just communicate, talk it out. That post is no longer there. It's been taken down. I know some people said last night that there was a lot of resistance on her post. Maybe that's what led to it being taken down, felt it was a bad idea in the end. But just wanted to provide an update to you. Who knows what will happen next? Will Zavgirl go very quiet and lay low for quite a bit, or just kind of push on and move forwards regardless? I don't know how she'll go about it, right? As well, some other person, I think called Liberty or something, new viewer or temporary new viewer popping in last night, said that Natasha Cooper has been banned from YouTube 50 times. I don't know if that was an exaggeration or they were literally meaning that, but if someone like Natasha has been banned 50 times and yet has bounced back 49 times, how's she been able to do that when the likes of Jim Terry or Mr. X were shut down, tried coming back, and it didn't work out? Or when Salty Pancakes created alternative accounts and was shut down immediately. Why does it not work for them, but it works for Natasha Cooper, who is also doing, supposedly, in the eyes of people, bad stuff? Seems a bit weird, right? There you go, maybe typical YouTube. Now, next point. Returning back to Dylan Round's focus. See, these are all loose points I'm mentioning right here, right now, as a collective thing. So, Brenner. What's going on with Brenner? Is he going to talk? Will he ever talk? Well, as time goes on, maybe not. Unless he's had enough of stuff and it gets to him. But I don't think that's the case. As I said last night, does it get to the point where the family think, oh, maybe we need to reevaluate things? Maybe we might have to reach out to Brenner and go from there. I said that, if they've turned down the offer in the past, Brenner will probably be awkward and feel, well, you've rejected me once, fooled me once, you're not going to fool me twice. And then Brenner shuts off completely. That's worst case scenario, besides him passing away early, so you don't hear the truth. So yeah, that's pretty rough, okay? Next point about JD, Dylan Round's best friend, or at least best friend at the time when alive in Dylan's case. This is just a small heads up towards Miss T. Guidance, if you're present, let me know. Let me know if you're present in the chat. So as a heads up, that blue truck, the one listed on the marketplace 19 weeks ago by JD, Dylan's best friend, a blue or dark blue Ford truck, I believe. Although in certain areas it could check out as possibly behind that event on the 28th, it's not the same one, okay? The odd other person in the background said from what they've heard of, the descriptions of that truck on the 28th by Walter Michelle don't match that blue truck listed by JD on Facebook, okay? And as well, it was described as a Jubilee truck back then on the Facebook Marketplace listed one by JD. The back wheels, it's not a Jubilee truck. It doesn't have the two lots of wheels on each side on the back. That's not the case. So there's no link there. But it's good of Miss T to research possibilities in the background. So that's good of her. Just wanted to provide a little update there. Let me know if you understand, Miss T. Okay? Anything else to talk about? Places to search. So before we move on to the Bob Farrell situation, is there any other places of interest to search? Let me know your thoughts down below in the chat. If any of you in the chat have very specific named locations, different types of environments, List them all down below in the comment section and the chat, and then maybe we can return back to it in a future video and do a map analysis, and then get the ball rolling, and then spread the awareness, and maybe get the right people in at the right place, right time to then search those places, okay? You get the idea of the snowball effect. Feel free to leave your comments down below and give a list of named locations you believe should be searched or rechecked, let's say, okay? More so, places that haven't been searched yet. Let me know down below. Now, we move on to the Bob Farrell situation. There was a video by Bob Farrell of him recording from his phone or something whilst holding a phone, of that phone playing a video of a recording he used that phone with. Bob Farrell has broken the fourth wall. And as well, he's also, shared his white sock collection again. Okay, in his video, Bob Farrell wearing his white socks. Okay, I'm sure Org Dot will be very excited by that. I don't know about that dodgy account called Bob's Lover. I don't know who they are or where they are right now, but if you are present, Bob's Lover, whatever that account is, just to confirm, Bob Farrell is still wearing the white socks. Okay? But that aside, what we're going to do is go into the community post from Bob Farrell's point of view and see what he's had to say in recent time. There's themes of him supposedly being threatened, whatever that is. We're just going to simply look at it and try and make sense. Okay? Here we are. We've got the first post here. Do we check the comments? No, there we go. I was just seeing, like, sometimes you click on the comments, it might show the post at the same time, but it doesn't. So we'll just read the post by Bob first. There seems to be a fair bit. 10 hours ago. Bob says, I just watched Lance Kelly walking with his wife and goats. Why does that sound like they're going to Noah's Ark? Lance and his wife walking with the goats. Okay. What a shame. Oh. Bob says, now everything is aBout Aidan Clune. Now and only one spot at the bottom of his list, says Dylan. This man made $50,000 off of Dylan's name. Did he? Did a GoFundMe and got $20,000, and now it's all about Aidan. What an idiot. You are a scammer. Take a shower, shave, make yourself look like a person, not a pig. Now they are begging people to buy the dog's stuff on Amazon wishlist. Use the GoFundMe money. That's what that's for. This needs to be reported for fraud. Where's the money? Lance, show us where the money went to. Had to buy a new car. How nice. Just in rounds, what a dirtbag this guy and his wife is. To help get Hydra some new gear, check out her wish list. Oh yeah, on the Amazon wish list, the cadaver dog called Hydra. It's got like the dog bowl, the red sheet bags, and an Apple MacBook laptop. So I think that's for the dog to type away with its paws and edit the videos. Maybe the cadaver dog is actually used as the video editor of one's videos. Maybe. But no, being serious, what are the comments? Joy Perry. That's downright shame. He's out there scamming. He's telling people he's got a dog in training. BS. And Bob Farrell tagging Shack Lady as well. I don't think tagging people works in the comment section. Only the description of your videos, Bob. Okay. Let me know your thoughts. But what's this all about, saying that Lance Kelly made $50,000 off of Dylan's name? Is there any proof of that? Besides the GoFundMe of raising $11,000 to be able to afford the cadaver dog and all that stuff, how does it amount to $50,000? That's a sudden jump. Where did that come from? Where did that figure come from? What are the other aspects financially which add up to the $50,000 mark? Can anyone explain? Or if anyone needs to clear it up, to dispel the rumours, feel free to do so. Just out of interest, what is going on here? I know over time a range of different people, and maybe not so much Candice Cooley, have called Lance Kelly out and labelled him a scammer. But there have been a few people out there that have labelled Lance Kelly in a negative light, and they've done the same thing afterwards, which isn't that great. Candice Cooley has criticised Lance Kelly for just being out there searching, going against what Candice Cooley wants, ignoring those requests. That's where the frustration comes from. And as well, the bag of bones situation, how that was handled, that was, I think, the trigger point. That's what I would say. Anyway, this post by Bob, let's just move on. In capital letters, this does not sound good when it's in capital letters. Bob saying, I have been threatened again just now by Sleeper Cell, or whatever name he goes by. I am telling you all, stop messing with me. Kathy Waters, all because I'm friends with Jim Terry and Mark Terry. Well, boo-hoo. File all the goddamn charges you want, Sleeper Cell. I don't give a rat's ass. You're the felon, not me. Go for it. Ooh, you don't have the money to do that. Felon, con man, fraud man. Maybe some people, when they read the word felon, con man and fraud man, sounds a bit ironic when it could be reflected elsewhere. But seems like Bob Farrell has got himself in a bit of a sticky situation. What's the comments from? Tell him like it is, Bob. Damn haters are out there and in abundance when you're a big deal and have good people in your corner. They hate to see you succeed, but they can't stop the train. What, super chat train? Cindy, good grief, give Bob an F-in break. All I can say is Bob's so cool with everyone, and if he's got a problem with you, that's saying something. Exactly. Oh, Kathy Waters has returned back. Kathy Waters, the Victorian time traveller. Let's see what's going on here. Bob, I have not done or said anything bad to you. I have no clue what you are talking about. Maybe you have that comment. I've never talked bad to you. I have, of course, tried to make sure you knew what you were dealing with, Jim Terry and Mark Terry. Always kind, but seem you don't need that, Bob. So whatever will be, will be. Good luck, Bob, in the devil's trap. It's your choice. Have fun whilst they let you. Bob, one other thing. Oh, here we go. Kathy Waters channeling her inner spirit animal of a wild baboon from 0 to 60 in a matter of seconds. She activates the caps lock. The caps key is turned on and she begins typing away like a wild individual. What does she say? And one thing, Bob, one other thing, don't use my name again or I'll be taking action. At this point, it would be fruitless for me to try to help you. So goodbye, Bob Terry. The end for me trying to help you has come. Well, Kathy Waters has spoken. Kathy Deep Waters. Kathy, I broke my waters. The floodgate has opened, but this time there are no blessings. It's just a load of grain and seed. And not even Graham can stop this graininess. Oh my goodness, Bob. Watch out for the parrot, okay? I was waiting for Kathy Waters to turn on that caps lock. I was waiting for the bass to drop, and I don't mean Miss T in this case. She's playing on the drums. She could be the percussionist, possibly. But, wow, there we go. But what else do we have on a serious note? Rainbow Melon. Wait, hold on. What's that profile picture of? Is that of a person bent over and something dangling in between the person's leg? I'm not going to click on it, but it looks like a person or a horse bent over with something dangling in between, like a pendulum. What's going on there? Rainbow Melon, amen. Oh, wait, does that say amen or ahem, like when you cough? Oh no, have I done it wrong again? Oh no. Whenever I read it, I don't know if the coughing, clearing the throat where it does ahem, like ahem, or did they mean amen, Jesus? I don't know. But Rainbow Melon says, that's why I said and did what I did, my dear Bob. For the best possible pest relief, block them. Good day, Bob. I mean, we talk about pest control. We need to return back to the catalyst and architect, the likes of Indiana, Badger Life, Maria, a few others, where they introduced the Rat Patrol. When it came to the chat in the past on my channel, Rat Patrol was very effective in a way. Anyway, in a matter of seriousness, Bob Farrell supposedly being threatened, supposedly what happens next, I don't know. But if anyone wants to defend or give their points or views, feel free to do so, okay? Last but not least, another one in capital letters. I think the caps lock has passed on from Kathy Waters to Bob. Bob says, this sleeper cell man is going to charge me, imposing as a police officer on YouTube, laughing my ass off, and more charges too, like he has the money to get an attorney and sue me. Get a life, felon and con man and fraud man. Keep up the good work. He is doing a full investigation on me, he says, and will post it on my community page. Do it, biatch. Do it. Talk about harassment. This is great. I got all of his text messages, all of Irish Roses, and many, many more people. Do you really think that any of you guys out there that are felons, that the courts are going to believe you? You need a new hobby, but bring it on, all of your assholes. Okay. Comments. Apparently these so-called people have nothing better to do. Get him, Bob, and sue his ass. The thing is, there can be people out there that can be successful, or can be busy, or can be well off in whatever way, can have contacts, can have a family, can be with someone, but they can also have that dark side wherever, whoever, and multitask, okay? The default thing of falling back on people that do bad stuff or react in bad ways have no life, that's not always the case. Sometimes people that do bad stuff are actually better off than you yourself. That messes up the complex and the matrix system, but it's just how it is, okay? That appears to be it from the community section. Just wanted to share it with you. Be sure to share your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments section, okay? So hopefully, all in all, maybe you learned something new today. You found the video interesting. Let me know if you did. I think we'll leave it there for now. As I said, just wanted to tie this all together because instead of it being so fragmented in bits and bobs, you know, let me explain this to you right here, right now, okay? I don't like the idea of doing a 5-hour, 10-hour long video. Too much to talk about, hard to look back on and reflect or refer back to, like with all those live streams out there. But if you can do a reasonable length video, which might not be completely breaking news, but it's a key time for discussions, then I guess it can be done. And as well, if I was to break it down bit by bit, short little videos, a 10-minute video here, a 4-minute video there, yes, it's more concentrated and controlled. But you see what the biggest issue is? I can't be posting 5 to 10 videos a day because people won't watch them. People will watch maybe 1 or 2 of them, but not all of them, just simply because there's that many posted in one day that people will assume that they've already watched the previous ones and just click on the only one that shows up first on the page. Does that make sense? I would know because I have demonstrated and experimented in the past. That would lead to further frustration of having to upload a 4-minute video, 1 a day. That is so dragged out. That is so much drip feeding. It's really annoying, that. So it's just easier bulking it all together and then putting it out there. When it comes to the breaking news stuff, regardless of length, then it will be focused on that particular topic or theme, right? And then you go from there. So basically just keep doing what I have been doing, right? Yes, it felt like getting to the end of the Dylan Rounds case and coverage as for the checkpoint system, but there's been a few pending ongoing discussions as of recent times, so that's why it's been covered. And as well, I've been incorporating it with other talk in the background of recent time, just covering other stuff in between, okay? When it comes to certain light-hearted videos, the focus might be of a certain area or a certain individual, just simply because they've got a very good sense of humour and/or there are stories going on in the background, things being talked about, so there is material to look at and cover and respond to. The other people out there, which I don't know if there are, but if there's anyone out there that is as stiff as a prune or a plank of wood, or someone that might be very serious, you know, if there's not sense of humour there, then there's no point, covering them in a light-hearted way because it'll only backfire. Then there might be other people out there that are okay, but they might not say much or have that many stories to share, so there's really not much to work with, okay? But of course, Busy Betty, a lot been going on there, so it has been covered, right? Just like Weedleby in the past, but Weedleby hasn't been active that much here. Joseph Lloyd has been missing in action. So when it comes to these response videos or these funny ones, they're not going to be done because the people aren't active or present to watch the stuff in the first place. So it would be falling on deaf ears, and there's not much current material to work with at this moment in time because they're not present to communicate. So that's what you do. Axonal pruning, okay? Adaptation. That's what happens. Hopefully you understand. We'll leave it there for now. Make sure to rewind the video if you haven't checked it all out. Make sure to take it all in and check my previous videos out. All the links are down below in the comment section, and feel free to like and share the video to keep spreading awareness on the case. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye and good night.